Getting started flipping houses as a beginner may sound daunting, but it doesn't have to be because there are essentially just 4 steps. You may be overthinking it because you don't know the whole process and you don't know where to start. I've been flipping houses for 9 years and I've done over 100 projects. And when I got started, I followed these exact 4-step process. So today I'm going to show you it so you can get started as easily as possible. The first step is to find the deal. It usually refers to a fixer-upper that you can add value to. So where do you go about to find this deal? There are many different ways. First of all, you could easily find a lot of the properties that are for sale publicly on the MLS, the multiple listing service. That's where you can find a lot of properties for sale on the market, and you can reach out directly to the listing agent and ask them if they would want to represent you as the buyer as well. And the agents are incentivized to do that because when they represent the seller and the buyer, they earn double commission. Could there be a conflict of interest? Yes, potentially, but it's mostly on the agent. They can decide whether they are comfortable and how they want to handle the situation. But you, as the buyer, don't really have much exposure. The MLS is probably the easiest way for anybody to find a flip because it's the open market and all the properties are available to anybody to see and to purchase. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because of the exposure the properties gets from the open market. There can be a lot of competition. Because of the competition from other investors and end buyers, a lot of times the prices get bid up and the numbers wouldn't work for fix and flip investors anymore. That's why most investors, myself included, prefer to purchase properties that are off market, that are not on the MLS. Because they are off market, so you're going to have to do a little more digging and they are not readily available. Which leads to my favorite way of finding deals, which is by working with real estate agents to find off market deals. Real estate agents are probably the most important partners to real estate investors because they have access to on-market and off-market properties and a lot of buyers and sellers. And even if they don't have any properties under their own control, they also know other real estate agents who may have access to off-market properties. To get deals from real estate agents, you need to build a big network, which was what I did when I was getting started in my investing career. I contacted a lot of real estate agents and introduced myself so that when they come across a fixer-upper, they would think of me. It was a lot of effort initially, but later on, deal acquisition became more of a passive effort because I don't have to proactively go out to seek deals, and whenever agents come across deals, they just come to me, which is pretty cool. Another way to find off-market deals is to work with homeowners directly. Some investors send out mailers regularly and others would cold call homeowners. It sounds like a lot of work, but you can get really good deals from these efforts because you bypass real estate agents and don't have to pay agent commission. You can also work with wholesalers and purchase fixer-uppers from them. Wholesalers usually work with homeowners directly or agents directly, and then they get properties under contract, but they don't do any work themselves and they sell the houses to fix and flip investors. I've done a few deals like that with wholesalers. After you find on-market or off-market deal, you need to analyze it to determine whether the numbers would work. And I use my deal analyzer to plug in all the numbers and to determine the max purchase price. If you want to download the deal analyzer that I use every single day, check out the link in the description below. The second step is to finance the deal. You need to figure out where to get money to purchase the house. This is where a lot of beginners see as the biggest hurdle, but it really shouldn't be. A lot of beginners I've spoken to are so worried about where the money is going to come from, but they don't know that there are so many different ways to finance a fix and flip deal. Of course, you can finance a fix and flip deal by a conventional mortgage. It's similar to financing a primary home. As long as you have a good income, good credit, and all that good stuff that a bank is looking for. But it's my least favorite way to get financing because the banks usually have stringent underwriting guidelines, and I pull my hair out every time I try to get a conventional mortgage, and I try to avoid it as much as possible. So my preferred way of financing is a hard money loan. If you haven't heard, a hard money loan is a loan that's designed for fix and flip deals, and it's perfect for real estate investors. Different from a conventional mortgage, hard money lenders don't care about your income, and they really care about the deal itself. And they want to make sure that the deal is profitable so that the loan can be secured by the deed. The underwriting and funding process are also so much easier. A hard money loan can be funded within 1 to 2 weeks, so it gives you a big edge when competing against a traditional mortgage. Since you are starting out, you probably don't know where to find a hard money lender. You can easily do a Google search, hard money lender, and your location so that you can see what lenders might be servicing your area. You can also go to real estate meetings and meetups, and a lot of times hard money lenders sponsor or attend those events so that they can find potential customers. The third step is to renovate the house. And to renovate, you need to determine the scope of work first. A scope of work details all the items that are going into a renovation. For example, if you want to replace the windows, repaint the walls, and replace the flooring, all of these are going to be line items in the scope of work. As a beginner, the best way to determine the scope of work is to do a walkthrough of the property with a general contractor. The general contractor can help you determine what to be included in the scope of work and how much everything costs. You can of course do the renovation DIY style too, but I really don't recommend because I tried it myself, my rental property, and it didn't go so well. My then boyfriend, now husband, helped me with the DIY renovation, but it took us so much longer and it caused a lot of stress. And retroactively speaking, if we were to hire a professional, we could have done the project and saved probably a month and a half in the renovation time, and also that would allow us to run this as a business without working inside the business and taking away very valuable time from looking at higher level stuff. So I really highly recommend that if you were to run the house flipping business as a business, you want to hire somebody to do the work. The professionals will do the work so much faster, even though you spend a little more money, but it's well worth it. If you want to work with a general contractor on the renovation, don't just go with the first contractor, which was a mistake that I made on my first flip. I highly recommend that you screen and vet the contractor. You need to interview quite a few of them. I would say at least 5 contractors. You want them to give you a bid so you can compare the bids and select the contractor that you want to work with. When you're comparing contractor bids, also don't just look at the price because there are so many contractors out there that live on change orders. They tend to give you a lower bid initially, and then they tell you that a lot of things are not included in the bid, so you have to pay extra. And that's how your renovation budget is going to blow up. So when I look at the bids, I would make sure that all the bids include the entire scope of work. So that's how you make sure that you are comparing apples to apples. And I tend to eliminate the highest bid and the lowest bid and compare the bids in the middle very carefully. And together with your interaction with those contractors during the walkthrough, you can make an informed decision. During the renovation project, since it's your first time working with the general contractor, you want to check on the project often and provide constant feedback. So you make sure that you and the general contractor are on the same page and you are working towards the same goal. The fourth and final step is to sell the house. It sounds like a simple step, but there's actually a lot more to it. You can sell the house with a real estate agent. Usually, if an agent is bringing me the deal, I would sell the house with the same agent because it incentivizes them to bring more deals to me. You can also sell the house with a discount brokerage like Redfin, which charges 1 or 1.5% of the total sale price, which is a lot cheaper, but I don't like doing that because over the years I learned that real estate agents actually hold their weight in the process. And if you're going with somebody who's not familiar with the process or who don't have your best interest at heart, you can leave a lot of money on the table. Even if you're selling the house with a good real estate agent, you still want to make sure that you're involved in the whole process, like prepping the house for market, getting the staging, inspections, and professional photos. And you also want to be really involved in the pricing strategy, which I find is the key to selling your house for top dollar. Pricing a home for sale is such an art. A lot of sellers think that the higher they price the home, the more money they get, but it actually works the opposite way. If you price the property too high compared to the comps, it tends to deter the buyers because they think your expectations are too high and they wouldn't make any offers. So your property would sit on the market for a while. And that really doesn't look good, and it can negatively affect the final sale price. If you price the property too low, you risk not getting the price bid up high enough to where it should be because you are exposed more to the buyers who can afford less than what your property should sell for. That's why it's so important to look at comparable sales before determining the listing price. Other than the pricing, negotiation is also key because when you get multiple offers, you don't want to just take the highest offer. You always want to negotiate with the buyers because the buyers may bid the price up even higher if they really want the house. So this is a step that seems simple, but it can't be overlooked and it can make or break the deal. So now you know getting started flipping houses is just these 4 steps. In the next video, we'll start with the first step. I'll show you the 3 ways that I find house flip deals. I'll see you there.